Mike?
Welcome, guys. Thanks for having me on again.
Sure. And our next guest is one of the biggest names and faces of wrestling. He compiled an unbelievable 181-1 record in college. He was undefeated in 64 prep matches and was 117-1 at Iowa State University. Was a two-time NCAA champion and a three-time All-American and a three-time Big 8 champion. In 1972, he won a gold medal in the Summer Olympic Games in Munich, Germany. Iowa's all-time winningest coach compiled of 355, 21, and 5 with 15 NCAA titles. And that man is Dan Gable. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Hey, I'm happy to be on it.
And what's your intake on the Olympic Committee wanting to get rid of the Olympics? And, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, the wrestling community really fought well and hard for, to keep it at least till 2024.
Well, I tell you, I've been around international wrestling since 1970. That's 44 years. And, I just didn't realize just where we ranked as far as, just our cooperation with the rest of the sports and how we got along with the IOC and all that kind of stuff. So I guess what happened is we just weren't good enough in terms of our accommodation. We were like not doing our homework. We were a little bit corrupt, but I think all NGBs, national governing bodies, I should say international governing bodies, are a little bit corrupt. It's not like state to state. It's country against country. It's just a little bit more complicated, and it's definitely difficult. So, I was really shocked, but once I found out that we needed to do a lot more than we've been doing, I really understood a little bit, and I think we're better off now than if they would have waited till next time, because at least we had a chance to turn it around, and we still get a chance to turn it around, and we are in for, the next two Olympics, or actually the next three Olympics. But if we want to get in permanently, we're going to have to be good boys and good girls, and we're going to have to buckle down.
Okay, Dan, can you talk a little bit about Penn State winning 4 straight and going for a 5th this year, and also Iowa's chances in this upcoming season?
Sure. It's pretty amazing that the sport of wrestling has been able to grow and go to new levels with two guys that came out of the same institution. And by that, I mean a college. And that's, of course, Cale Sanderson, who wrestled at Iowa State and then actually was the head coach at Iowa State and then moved on to Penn State. And, of course, a guy named Dan Gable, that's me. I wrestled at Iowa State, and then I moved on to the University of Iowa. When I moved on to the University of Iowa, all of a sudden there was 2 really good programs within the state. Already had another Division I program that has a lot of fame, the University of Northern Iowa, but all of a sudden that rivalry and record-setting crowds and championships started to coming and TV and so on and so forth. So now with Penn State actually making the rise, they've always been a good team, but now they've really kind of jumped from the top 10 to the top. And when you win something 4 years in a row, that is a feather in your cap 4 times. But, just the fact that Oklahoma State's out there chomping, Iowa State's chomping, Iowa's chomping, Minnesota, and a few other schools are really making commitments to the program. It's pretty amazing that they have won 4 championships, and they've done so in fine fashion. I think a real key is this year. A lot of people see a lot of maybe little chinks in their armor. They graduated 2 of their top wrestlers, and they're thinking that maybe they can stop that string. But, at Iowa, it was just like a matter of who's the next guy coming into the lineup. I don't know if they're there yet, but they're kind of showing that sign right now, Penn State is.
Okay, Dan, I read Tim Foley's Friday mailbag this past Friday from Internet.com, and he was talking about how wrestling has really fought two reactive fights, like we were just talking about, one being the IOC decision last year, the other one being Title IX back in, since it started in 1972. And he said that the third fight that we might be facing, that we should probably get a little bit more proactive on, is athletes getting paid, the NCAA paying its athletes. I know right now Northwestern is kind of running the show on that fight. I was wanting to get your take on what you think might be the unintended consequences if something like that went through. How would that affect wrestling programs? Not only D1, but even the smaller programs.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, okay, these things, when they hit hard, and something's got to give. And so far it's been wrestling that has given a lot, just because we don't have a comparable sport for female, even though we're working on that. And that helped save the Olympics, because we are putting a lot of emphasis on the female end. Colleges are adding programs. We still have a long ways to go there as far as high school. So, that is a possibility to even gender equity. But as far as if they start paying and it takes a lump sum out of somebody, yeah, most people look for the easiest way out. However, I think we've gone through a couple of these, like you said, and I think we're more prepared. I don't think they're going to want to make their number of sports any smaller in most institutions. I think most of them have cut down to where they about at the minimum. But that doesn't mean, you'll get somebody that comes in and there's a ready excuse to do something, and they may do it. So, I don't like the word, like we've been not been proactive, we've been reactive. I like the word proactive. So, by bringing this up, hopefully the Coaches Association, the NWCA, USA Wrestling, the museums, the Hall of Fames are actually preparing for this. And I think that we are doing a better job than we've ever done before. But again, it's kind of like our culture. We sometimes slide back into, we take something on and then kind of slide back. We got to take something on, like this Olympic effort, and we got to stay at the top of our game. I'll give you an example. We formed a committee called CPOW, CPOW, the Committee for Preservation of Olympic Wrestling. Well, we met every Saturday for 6 months on the phone. There's a group of 25. Since we got reinstated in the Olympic Games, this CPOW, it basically disbanded. And because it disbanded, we've only met like once in the last 6 months, which I think is a mistake. So, yes, we are a little bit, we have a tendency to kind of lay back, think we're set, but we're not. So I'm going to tell you, you are right in a way, but at the same time, I think we're more prepared, but not that much more prepared.
Dan, what gave you the drive to start and lace up a pair of wrestling shoes? What inspired you into this sport?
Well, I was born into a wrestling family and a community. Waterloo, Iowa, at that time, they were just, everybody wrestled. They had unbelievable coaches. They had unbelievable coaches at West Waterloo. His name was Siddons. They had an unbelievable coach at East Waterloo named Nadvik. They had an unbelievable coach at Cedar Falls High School named So just those 3 local high schools with the coaches at the top of their game in the state really developed, and it can show what one guy can do if he gets going, and then all of a sudden he has many people. I mean, every parent in my hometown of Waterloo wanted their kid to go out for wrestling. If you were male, we just had an overflow because they knew what this guy could do for their son. Whether it was the first team or the second team or the third team, or that he never even put on a uniform, he was going to get a lot out of it. So it just shows the power of a good individual in a coaching or teaching situation.
Dan, any current wrestlers that stand out in your mind, maybe you enjoy watching or they're exciting to you?
Well, I just think, I'll tell you where my mindset is. My mindset is, come on, let's get 4 or 5, 6 guys per weight class that's fighting it out to make the Olympic team. Let's up our our level of expertise. So right now, if you look at Burroughs, and you look at Dake, and you look at Taylor, and you look at Howe, and Perry's actually just a new guy coming in, but he's jumping up a weight. But you look at that in there, and you can mention 4 or 5 guys within a weight class or two, then I think that's what we need from a total commitment in our sport at every weight class. When we get that, we're going to be right up there with the Russians every year.